Welcome to Aligned Christ-Centered Yoga. My name is Linda and I'll be guiding our practice today. Today's practice is a restorative flow. So we're not actually ever going to stand up or get onto our knees, but we will be moving in and out of poses for deeper stretches. If you have one, I would invite you to get a strap or a towel, a block or a prop that will just help support your head, your back as you move through your poses, and a blanket. And if you have a blanket, can you just roll it up and place it at the top edge of your mat so that you can sit with your hips on the mat and your lower back and head supported. Arms out to the side. And then decide, maybe the knees stay bent because that's better for you. Or maybe the legs long. So as you find this position, just stay here and begin to feel the muscles of the body drape over that blanket. My question for you today as we begin is, how do you view your weaknesses? Do you view them as obstacles or opportunities? In her devotion for August 31st in Jesus Calling, Sarah Young brings to mind the Proverbs 3:5, which I think many of us are familiar with, but she uses the amplified version here. Trust in and rely confidently on the Lord with all your heart, and do not rely on your own understanding. In all your ways, know and acknowledge and recognize Him, and He will make your paths straight and smooth, removing obstacles that block your way. I think often we think of our frailties as obstacles, but Paul reminds us that when we are weak, God can work powerfully through us. Sarah Young writes this as if from God to you. Grow strong in your weakness. Some of my children I've gifted with abundant strength and stamina. Others, like you, have received the humble gift of frailty. Your fragility is not a punishment, nor does it indicate lack of faith. On the contrary, weak ones like you must live by faith, depending on me to get you through the day. I am developing your ability to trust me, to lean on me, rather than your understanding. Your natural preference is to plan out your day, knowing what will happen when. My preference is for you to depend on me continually, trusting me to guide you and strengthen you as needed. This is how you grow strong in your weakness. Trusting in God continually. Find your breath. Breathe deeply into the lungs and the rib cage and the diaphragm. And as you inhale, just inhale down the body. Exhale and find that strength as the navel draws in, as the rib cage engages and softens. Feel the breath moving through your body. Maybe as it enters the body, you can breathe into the back of the body as well as the front, feeling the back of the body settle into the mat. What are those weaknesses that frustrate you the most? How can God work through those? Take 2 more full breaths here. Bending your knees, bring your feet flat to the mat and roll over onto your side just enough that you can remove that blanket and go ahead and put it at the top of the mat where it'll be out of your way. And come flat onto the mat. And bring your knees up and your big toes together. And so we're gently going to roll side to side. So gently just take that right knee down towards the floor and then wait as long as you can to follow it, and then slowly bring that left leg all the way over to meet it. Roll onto your shoulder, and then come up and over and go the other direction. So as you go back and forth here, just check in. What are the sensations in the body? Where do you feel tightness or stiffness or knots? Maybe as you come over to the side, you can actually draw the forehead down and look underneath and past that shoulder. Just kind of looking in the opposite direction of the knees as you roll your head back. So 2 more times here, back and forth. Take your time. Meet me at center. Find your strap. Go ahead and make a loop at one end of the strap. And then just draw your right leg up and loop around the ball of the foot. And hold on to that strap. And relax the foot. Find a neutral position of the spine. So there's just a natural arch in the lower back. Let the shoulder blades rest heavy on the mat. Upper arms heavy on the mat. And begin to circle that leg, just drawing a circle with the foot on the ceiling. And just notice which direction did you start to circle. And as you're ready, to circle the other direction. So what we're doing here is we're just beginning to lubricate the hip joint, just moving that femur bone of the thigh and the socket of the hip. Can you keep your other leg steady rather than letting it circle along? As you're ready, settle to that center and begin to find a hamstring stretch. So find tension but not struggle. Go ahead and bend that leg heel to hip. One more time. And then come into the hamstring stretch and just settle there, no shaking. Flexing the foot, draw the heel towards the sky and simultaneously draw the hips down towards the mat. Take the strap into that right hand, the same hand as the leg, and gently begin to bring that leg across the body. So it's crossing the midline of the body, but can you do this without a twist? And maybe for you it works to extend that other leg, so that left leg resting on the floor. If the left leg is on the floor, keep it activated and strong, heel flexed, heel pushing away from the head. One more breath here. Gently draw the belly in, come to center, switch the strap into the other arm. So now the strap is in the opposite hand and let that leg come all the way out to the side. And again, can you activate the leg, either pressing through the foot if the leg is bent, the opposite leg, that left leg, or pressing the heel away from the body. What happens if you turn the toes of the right foot slightly down towards the floor? and slightly up towards the ceiling. Find your stretch. Engaging through the abdominals, gently bring that leg in. One more time, just drop the heel to the hips. Bring the leg up. Gently find your hamstring stretch. Just notice, maybe it's the same place it was before. Maybe you're getting a little bit more out of it now. Gently unstrap the foot and arms out to the side, leg long. Straighten out that left leg and slowly bring that right leg down to join it. Closing your eyes, check in. Notice the length of the body on the right side compared to the left. Notice how you are connected to the mat. Notice the distance from heel to knee and knee to hip on each side. Hip to shoulders and shoulder to ear. Then as you're ready, just bend that right leg and strap your left. So again, finding that hamstring stretch. Well, first let's circle on the ceiling. So just straight leg, just draw a circle on the ceiling with your foot. And as you're ready, go the opposite direction. Settle its center and begin to gently bring the leg in towards you. And again, just acknowledging those places of tightness, those places maybe of weakness, right? And acknowledging that maybe there are opportunities there, not just obstacles. Is that right leg bent or straight? It doesn't matter, but be intentional about what's best for you. And then keeping the strap in that left hand, take that leg across the midline of the body without twisting the body. So you're just bringing that leg across, looking for a stretch here in the IT band, on the outside of the hip and the thigh, maybe even the outside of the knee. I actually feel this in the outside of my ankle. Toes pointing slightly down towards the floor. One more breath here. On that next inhale, bring that leg back up to center. Again, just bend and straighten it once. Draw the leg in and find the hamstring stretch and stay there for 3 breaths. Gently extend that right leg and then take the left leg, unstrap it, and extend it all the way down to the mat. And again, hands out to the side. Closing your eyes again, just noticing the left leg now perhaps longer than the right. Turning your head up and over from the top of one ear to the top of the other, back and forth. Noticing not just the length of the body, but the way that the body is settled into the mat. Go ahead and bring your knees in. Give yourself a hug and rock side to side. And then bring the hands out to the side. Knees up over the hips, shins parallel to the floor. Gently bring the knees down about 2/3 to the right and then 2/3 to the left. And can you keep that upper body in place? Can you guide the movement with your breath, exhaling into each twist? One more time each direction. And then just bring the legs down all the way over to the right. And keep the shoulder blades on the floor. So for some of you, it might feel better to support the leg up on a block, or even to bring a block between your legs, right? So just play a little bit with the props and find the support that's right for you. And with those shoulder blades heavy on the floor, look away from the knees. And if you want a little more, you can just bring that right hand across the legs and draw that top knee a little bit closer to the bottom knee. Find your breath here. And gently come to center and bring the legs up into the center. Hands to knees, draw knees to rib cage, back and forth here a few times. Just kind of restoring neutrality to the spine. And then knees up over the hips, shins parallel to the floor. Gently bring those legs over to the left. And using props in any way that will support you or help you. Let your gaze fall away from the knees. And if you want a little bit more, that left leg just comes across the knees, guiding the top knee towards the bottom. As you exhale into the pose, where else can you release? As you're ready, draw the belly in and come to center. Again, bring the knees in and out into the rib cage and away a few times. Bring the feet to the mat, extend the legs long, bring the hands down to your side, palms up. From here, begin to flex and point your feet and actually move your body as you do that. So I'm massaging the back of my head as I move my feet, just up and down, up and down. And then just settle there. Keeping the shoulder blades on the mat, begin to draw the right hand down, the arm stays on the floor, down towards the foot and back up, and then the left. And my gaze is just going to follow my shoulder. So I'm looking towards my foot as my hand reaches towards it, and then the other side. And again, just noticing, can you keep the shoulders flat on the mat? Maybe not. Or does one side lift up as you do this, or maybe both sides? So back and forth here a few more times. And settle at center. Take your right hand and draw a circle all the way across the body, overhead, out to the side and down. And just draw your circle all the way around, and it's just kind of a sloppy circle. Notice what's going on in the shoulders and the chest and the upper back. And then reverse that circle. And begin to notice where else the body is responding. Are the hips still locked down, or do the hips want to move with the arm? And can you make this just an arm movement? And then bring that hand all the way up to the ceiling and reach as high as you can, and then just thump the shoulder down, arm still extended to the sky, and do that twice more. And then just completely relax your arm as it comes all the way down to your side. palm up. And both palms up, just check in and notice the right side of the body compared to the left. Repeating that with the left arm. So now with the left arm, go ahead and draw that circle around the body. Again, just checking in, noticing, where you're feeling any tension, any stretch, any resistance. And as you're ready, go the other direction. Move your props out of the way if you need to. And then as you're ready, just raise that arm all the way up to the ceiling and reach as high as you can and just thump that shoulder down, and twice more. And just let that arm come all the way down to the mat, palm up. And again, take 2 breaths here, just checking in. Bending the knees, bring the feet to the mat, and then bring your knees in. Give yourself a hug and rock side to side. And then take both knees wide and hands underneath the knees. Begin to bring the knees up towards the shoulder. And then bring the hips back to the mat and find a neutral position of the spine. So you're going to really use those abdominals to support and engage. There's a small arch underneath the small of the back. And maybe you just hold on to your legs like this in happy baby pose. Maybe your hands come up towards your ankles, maybe to your feet, or even holding onto your toes. But wherever you are, right, finding that small arch in the back. Maybe just gently rock side to side here, massaging out the lower back. So if you have any sciatic issues, this can be a nice pose for release. As you're ready, meet me back at center. Bring the knees back together just a little bit. They're still a little wide. Hands underneath the knees. Roll up to a sitting position, back down onto your back. Back and forth a few times here. Massaging out the spine. And then come up into a sitting position, legs crossed. So it doesn't matter which leg is crossed in front of the other, but just notice it. Taking a deep breath in, bring your arms up and overhead. Exhale, hands to heart. Bring them out to the side. Exhale into a seated cat. Tuck your chin, round your back. And then palms up, arms out to the side. Draw the collarbone up, seated cow. So again, arms all the way up, hands to prayer, hands to heart. Bring the hands out to the side, come into seated cat. Cross the wrists, open up the palms, seated cow. Palms up, hands to heart. 2 more times through. Hands to the side, seated cat. Open up, seated cow. Extend to the sky, hands to heart. Once more, your pace, leading with your breath. Stay here, hands to heart, bowing your head for 2 breaths. And just invite God to work through whatever weakness comes to mind. Gently bring the hands to the knees. Keep your chin tucked. And bring that right ear to the right shoulder. Chin down, left ear to left shoulder. So just back and forth here a few times. What's going on in that neck today? Is it crunchy? Do you feel the same stretch on each side? Bring that right ear to your shoulder. And draw a number 8 with your nose. Just notice all of the different ways that the neck responds. And then find the stretch exactly where you want it to be. And maybe this is where you stay and this is plenty. Or maybe you walk that left hand away from you. And finally, maybe that right arm comes up and overhead and very, very gently, just above the ear, guides the head down just a little further. As you're ready, head down, bring chin forward. Taking a deep breath in, bring the arms all the way up. Hands to heart, bow your head. Hands to the knees, stay here, let the full weight of the head come down. And then readjust your alignment if you're starting to slouch forward. So you're still on your sitting bones, your spine is still long and tall until the neck bends. And then gently bring that left ear to the left shoulder. And, did the shoulder rise up to meet the ear, or can that shoulder stay heavy? And draw your number 8 with your nose. Find your stretch. Where is it on this side? Is that enough? If you want more of those right fingertips, creep out a little bit more. Maybe the left arm sweeps up, gently, gently, guiding the head just a little more deeply into that stretch. As you're ready, bring the hands down, back to your knees, tuck your chin, gently just roll your head, right ear to right shoulder, chin forward, left to left, and bring your head back up to center. Find your alignment. Take your right leg in front and your left leg behind you in a pinwheel. If your left leg doesn't bend well, just keep it straight. Left hand to hip, begin to rock your hip forward and back. So your hip is going to lift up and down, lift up and down. And keep that motion in the hip and take your hand back to your back foot and across to your fingers, back and forth here. As you're ready, bring the arm across. And maybe the palm comes up as it comes towards the foot. And maybe the gaze works opposite the arm. So I'm turning my head up in the opposing motion. And maybe you stay here, or maybe that back arm comes behind you and you open up and lift the hips and then sweep back. So the arm rises, hips come forward, hip points lift to the sky. One more time, and this time hold it. Just stay here for a couple of breaths. And maybe those shoulder blades can glide down a little bit. Maybe the hip points can draw forward and up a little bit. And then sweep that arm all the way around and release. Go ahead and make a pancake with your hands. Begin to press down into that front thigh. So you're well behind the kneecap, just right in the meaty part of that muscle. Just press down and up. One more time. And then centering the body over that leg, fold your body over so that you're completely extended and your head is reaching towards the floor. So for some of you, again, using that prop, just make sure you're supporting your head somehow. And maybe if you don't go quite to the floor, you're just resting on a fist. So with breath, can you create a little more space in the spine, a little more space between each of those vertebrae? Feel the hip crease moving back as that knee reaches forward. Feel the muscles draping over that leg. Two more breaths here. Gently press into your hands and come up. And I'm going to invite you to actually continue across that leg. So I'm looking over that front leg. I'm going to go ahead and come down on my left forearm. And I'm going to reach my right arm as far forward as I can and look underneath that arm. And so just adjust and find the stretch that's right for you. What happens if you activate your feet a little more? Just flexing the feet a bit more. One more breath here. As you're ready, press into the forearm and then the hands and come up. Bring that back leg across the front leg. Front knee up and towards the collarbone. Take that left hand behind you at the center, and we're going to find our twist from the base of the spine up. So go ahead and find length in the spine first. Take a deep breath in. Draw the belly in, and just take the lower back and find that twist. And take a deep breath in. And exhale as the middle back begins to twist. Deep breath in. Exhale as the upper back twists. And then finally, draw the chin over that back shoulder. And maybe take that front arm across the leg. Maybe bending at the elbow, palm facing away from the knees. Stay here for 2 more breaths. How does the pose shift with breath? Gently release. Come to center. Take the legs wide. Walk the hands forward. Just see where the body goes. Take 2 breaths here. Tension, but no struggle. And press into your hands as you come back. So come into your pinwheel. Left leg forward. Both feet flexed. Right hand to right hip in the back. Lift and lower that back hip. Rocking forward, rocking back. What are you feeling in the back? In the hips. Gently take your hand back to the foot and sweep it across towards the other hand. Back and forth here. And then bring that arm parallel to the floor. Just bring it across. Again, maybe palm down as you come towards the hand, up as you go back towards the foot. And maybe you're looking in the opposite direction of the moving arm. 2 more times across here. And then that option is to press into the back hand and sweep the hips all the way up and release. So back and forth here. One more time. Holding it up. Staying here for 2 breaths. Can the shoulders relax? Can the hips rise up? And bring that arm all the way down and across. And pancake your hands, but intentionally bring the other arm on top this time and press into the center of that front thigh. Just back and forth here. Pressing in, releasing. 2 more times here. And bring a prop with you if you want. And come forward, bringing the body over that knee. Inhale, length into the spine. Exhale and let the body grow heavy over the leg. Activate your feet. Imagine the hip crease pulling back and the knee drawing forward. Stay here for 2 more breaths. Gently press into your hands and come up. Go ahead and turn the rest of the way across so that I'm facing the outside edge of that front leg. Come to your left forearm, reach that right arm as far as you can across the edge of the mat. And look underneath. And just stay here and find breath. And just checking in, are the sensations different on this side than the other side? And what happens if you drop that front shoulder a little closer to the mat? And gently press into the forearm and walk your way back up. And bring your legs out wide. So this time, flex your feet, bend your knees, and bring them in and out a couple of times. Take your hands to your hip crease. Keep your blocks nearby. And come forward. So again, just coming to wherever the body takes you, but support your head. Support your forehead. So maybe, you're up on one block, maybe it's more than that. Can you find length in the spine? Play with it a little bit. Find what's right for you. One more breath here. Press into your hands and rise up. Keep the right leg extended. Bring the left leg in. Foot presses into thigh. So a little bit of traction there. Turn towards that right leg. Exhale forward. Inhale back. Move those props if you need to. What's going on in your back? And then as you're ready, just come forward and find your hamstring stretch. Maybe it's better for you to support that leg, bend it a little bit, bring a block underneath the knee. Maybe the leg is straight. Can you cross your wrists as you hold on to that leg? And begin to find a little bit more as you draw the hip crease back, as you begin to draw the elbows towards the hips. Let the head grow heavy. And find breath. One more breath here. Bring that outside arm to the inside. Sweep that left arm all the way up and bring it overhead, reaching towards the toes. And then just rise up as the arm comes out to the side, back and forth here. Can you guide this movement with the abdominals rather than the arm? So the arm is following along, but you're using those internal obliques at the waist to lift and lower the body. And as you're ready, come all the way over and just reach towards that foot, but anchor into the sitting bones. So that's going to determine range of motion. Reach through the fingertips, draw the gaze up, stacking shoulders. And as you're ready, release and come up and switch legs. So again, exhale, come forward. Inhale, come back. Back and forth over this leg, noticing the way that this leg is responding to the stretch. And do you feel it more in the hamstrings or the glutes or the back? Exhale forward. Inhale back. And as you're ready, find the stretch. Support the leg with a block, and if the knee is bent, let the body grow heavy over the leg. Cross the wrists with the opposite hand on top. What happens if you activate the muscles of the leg, tightening up the quadricep, drawing the knee towards the hip, drawing elbows back towards the hips, creating traction as the head releases and drops. Find breath. One more breath here. Go ahead and bring that outside arm to the inside. Sweep that right arm all the way out to the side and then up and overhead as you come towards the toes. And then all the way out to the side again. So again, just using the muscles of the abdominals at the waist there to lower and lift the body. The arm floating. One more time. And then bring that arm over and just settle into the stretch. And find it as you anchor into the sitting bone and draw the belly in and stack the shoulders. And just notice range of motion. I mean, I'm significantly tighter on this side. What is your experience here? On that next inhale, come all the way up and over. Bring both legs out to the side again. Flexing the foot, go ahead and draw the knees in and extend. A couple of times. Bring the block to center. Hands to hips. Forward fold. See where you go. Maybe you're exactly where you were before, or maybe you're going a little bit further now. So we're going to stay here this time for 5 breaths. So forward folding can be very uncomfortable for people, right? So adjust it for you. Tension, but not struggle. No shaking, no pain. And can you get comfortable with tension in your life? Can you get comfortable with those weaknesses? Those things that just are what they are. How can God work through those? Two more breaths here. Gently press into your hands and rise up. Bring your legs in. Move your blocks, one block towards your hips, the other block at the front of your mat. Come down onto your back. So here on our back, let's go ahead and work with bridge pose. So let's find it first. Go ahead and take this block in between your legs. So it's the narrow end. It's about 4 inches if you're using a blanket or a towel. I'm just trying to keep my legs hip width apart, and it's just a gentle holding. I'm not squeezing into it at all. Bring your feet about 1 handprint away from the hips. It's actually about 1 foot length away from the hips. Bring your hands up to the ceiling, palms facing in together. Reach as high as you can and just thump those shoulders down a couple of times. And let the arms come down to your hips, palms down. So with the palms down, press into your feet and your upper arms and begin to gently come up 1 vertebra at a time into that bridge. So you're going to lift with the tops of your thighs, lift with your quadriceps, and arch the back as the hip points rise. And exhale down. And do this twice more. Inhale on the way up. Exhale on the way down. And then let your back settle into the mat and just stay there. So we are going to add some arm movement to this. So make robot arms. Bend your elbows at a 90 degree. Press your upper arms into the mat and rise up into bridge. On your next inhale, let your hands rise up to the ceiling. And keeping your shoulder blades in place, just let those hands come down overhead. Keep your gaze up to the ceiling. So if you need to look to see what I'm doing, your back is on the mat. And then inhale, arms rise back up to the ceiling. Exhale, forearms down, back to mat. Stay there for a breath. So never look side to side when you're up in bridge. You want to protect your neck. So you're going to rise up into bridge. Here's your inhale. Stay up for the next exhale. Stay in bridge. Inhale, arms to sky. Exhale, overhead. Inhale up. Exhale, bending the arms, forearms, and back to the mat. Upper arms and back to the mat. So still in robot arms, we're going to do that twice more. Rise up into bridge. On the next inhale, arms rise. Exhale, arms come overhead. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, upper arms to the mat, come down. Last time, rising up into bridge. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, overhead. Inhale, up. Upper arms and back, return to the mat. This time, the hands come down as well. Lift the back up just enough that you can take that block from in between the legs and put it underneath your back. So it is going to be above the tailbone and below the spine. Shoulder blades still heavy to the mat. Palms down at your side. Stay here and find breath. And let that lower back grow heavy into the block. Can the hips soften anymore? Can you slow your breath down? Take 2 more breaths here. Pressing into your feet, lift up just enough that you can remove the block. Let the back come down to the mat. Move the block behind you. Go ahead and take those legs wide, hands out to the side. So my feet are flat at the edge of the mat. My knees are bent. Gently drop the knees down to the right and to the left. As you're ready, drop the knees down to the right. And again, maybe you just settle there, or maybe you take one of those blocks underneath the knee so that you have a little more support, right? So, it's just whatever works best for you. And imagine that knee moving away from the body towards the front edge of the mat. And then bring your hand, if you want more stretch, bring that left hand down to the mat, palm down, and then up and overhead, reaching behind you. So you're finding length here from the inside of the knee that's at the center of the mat, all the way up and overhead, up and down the side of the body. And maybe you look away towards that extended arm. One more breath here. Engaging through the abdominals. Exhale, bring the legs up to center. Bring the hands out to the side and the knees together. So my feet are wide, my knees are together. Take a breath here. And then just gently bring the knees back up and take the feet wide and the knees down to the other side. And again, just find the stretch that's right for you. Maybe there's a block underneath that knee, maybe not. Maybe this is enough stretch for you. Maybe you want more, and that right palm comes down to the hip and then up and overhead. So palm up as I extend that arm behind my head. How can you shift the pose with breath? Take one more breath here. Bring that arm back out to the side, engaging through the abdominals. Exhale, bring the knees up. And again, just bring those knees in and towards each other. Stay there for 2 breaths. Bring the knees back out, walk the feet to center. Bring the knees into the rib cage and away. Press back and forth here a few times. And then just walk the legs out long. Wiggle the feet back and forth. Windshield wipers side to side. Bop the knees up and down a few times. Wiggle the hips side to side and let the lower body stay heavy. Bring your arms up, stacking your forearms one on top of the other, hands lightly, one hand lightly on the elbow. And then gently, keeping the arms on this plane, begin to bring the elbows down side to side. So can you keep the back on the mat? You're just moving the arms here. Again, just noticing where that brings you release, where that's tight. One more time each direction, and then meet me at center. And keeping those arms stacked, bring them overhead and behind you. And maybe, that blanket is still nearby. If your arms aren't touching the floor, maybe you bring that blanket underneath those arms. Find breath here. One more inhale. And on that exhale, bring the arms up and overhead. And then stack the shoulders in the opposite direction with the opposite arm on top. And again, just gently drop the elbows side to side. Is the range of motion the same on this side? Is it different? As you're ready, come back to center. Gently bring the arms overhead again, resting them and supporting them on blanket or prop or the floor. And find breath. Can you try to do this and keep the back in that neutral position of the spine? So I have a tendency to jut my ribs out to overarch the back. Can you bring that rib cage in, knit those ribs together, draw the navel in towards the spine and up. One more breath here. And release. As you exhale, next exhale, bring those arms back up over the chest. And bring the hands out to cactus. So my elbows are just a little bit below the shoulder. Move any props you need to out of the way. Backs of the hands are towards the mat. Just noticing again the way that your back is connected to the mat. Can you keep the spine in neutral position? Abdominals engaged. Upper arm, lower arm, hands, just noticing how are they connected to the mat. Is it the same on both sides? For me, it's not. Take a nice deep breath here. Bring the arms out to the side. One final time, bring them all the way up to the sky, palms facing in. One more shoulder thump. Let those palms come all the way down. Palms up at your hips. As you find Shavasana today, just consider this. Is weakness for you physical? Is it mental or emotional? Is it spiritual? All of the above. As you exhale, let go of any need to conquer those in your own strength. Surrendering them into the work of the Holy Spirit, the very capable hands of God. Gently begin to bring movement back, wiggling fingers and toes, rotating wrists and ankles, turning your head side to side. Reconnect with your breath. On that next inhale, arms rise up and overhead, reaching behind you, stretching as long as you can. And then gently draw your knees in and roll over onto your side. And support your head with one arm. And stay here in this very protected pose for 2 breaths. On that next inhale, eyes still closed. Press into your hands and rise up. Come up to a sitting position. Find your sitting bones. Notice your alignment. Check in body, mind, and soul. What has changed? What has stayed the same? On the next inhale, arms rise up and overhead, palms together, and exhaling, hands to heart, bow your head. Holy God, we surrender our whole selves to the work of your Spirit. Transform us from the inside out. Help us to see those weaknesses that we have as strengths. When we get frustrated, remind us of your presence. Comfort us and give us peace. It is in the name of Jesus the Christ, the Prince of Peace, that we pray. Amen. Thank you for sharing your time with me today.